I knew the night would go badly, but I didn't expect my entire life to change in a single humiliating moment. When my sister's son, my own 14-year-old nephew, walked up to the graduation cake I'd saved all week to buy, looked me dead in the eyes, and shoved it off the table with his full weight, smashing it into the floor as he shouted, "Eat it off the floor, since that's all you deserve." And the whole room, including my sister, burst out laughing like it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. I froze, the sweetness of crushed strawberries mixing with the burn behind my eyes as my sister stood over me, arms folded, saying, "Don't be dramatic, he's just playing," even though he smirked like he knew exactly what he'd done. The humiliation was so sharp I could barely breathe, but I said nothing, just picked up my car keys with shaking hands and walked out into the night. And for the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel calm, it felt like a storm. I sat in my car, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror, realizing that every insult, every joke at my expense, every time they treated me like the family maid, had led to this moment. I wasn't just hurt, I was done. Something inside me snapped that night, not in anger but in clarity. While they laughed, I planned. While they slept, I worked. While they mocked me for dreaming too big, I was already building the life they swore I never reach. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching this from. I love seeing how far my story travels. Anyway, everything truly shattered 2 weeks later when I received a letter from the bank addressed to me, a loan approval for $12,000 taken out in my name using my identity, with my sister listed as the authorized relative. She had stolen my information. She had faked my signature. She had taken money under my name, and the bank was already demanding payment. I didn't even cry. I didn't even feel surprised. I just sat there quietly, realizing she was never just disrespectful, she was dangerous. And they all knew. My nephew, the same boy who smashed my cake, had made a TikTok bragging about how mom handled that loan situation, not knowing I would ever see it. My parents defended her, saying, "Family shares everything," even though she'd ruined my credit. I spent that entire weekend collecting every document, every bank charge, every forged signature, every screenshot, every message, every proof that she'd used my identity like her personal wallet. Night after night, I sat in my apartment under a dim lamp, compiling everything into a folder so thick it barely closed. And for the first time, the pain stopped hurting. It started motivating. I was no longer the quiet sibling. I was the one holding evidence strong enough to destroy her entire lifestyle. And she had no idea. I quietly filed reports with the bank, the state auditor, and the IRS. I even hired a fraud investigator who was more than happy to handle a case with so much proof. 3 days later, the knock came. Not on my door, but on hers. Investigators filed into her home while her son watched with wide eyes, the same arrogant smirk wiped off his face. My sister called me that afternoon, voice shaking so hard she could barely breathe. "Please," she whispered, "they're saying I could lose everything." I sat calmly at my desk and said nothing. She kept crying. "I didn't think you'd make this a big deal." A big deal? She stole my identity. She ruined my credit. She humiliated me for years. She let her son bully me because she'd taught him to. And now she expected mercy. I walked into the official meeting the next morning wearing a navy blue suit I'd bought to feel powerful. And when she saw me entering the room with the investigators, she realized, too late, that I was the one who handed them everything. She whispered, "Please don't do this," mascara streaking down her cheeks. I sat across from her, calm and steady, while the lead investigator projected the documents onto a screen. Her forged signatures, her fake invoices, her tax fraud, the loan she had taken under my name, the digital evidence that she couldn't erase. She begged, she sobbed, and she even tried to blame her son. But the system wasn't listening to excuses. When the meeting ended and she chased me into the hallway, collapsing onto the floor in front of everyone, I simply said, "Now you know how it feels to be stepped on." She tried to grab my arm, but security stopped her. She screamed after me, "We're family!" And I kept walking because family doesn't destroy you and expect you to thank them. The fallout came fast. Her bank accounts were frozen, her job was placed on immediate suspension, the IRS launched a full investigation into her business. Customers pulled away, Creditors demanded explanations, and even the people who once praised her started distancing themselves when the truth surfaced. And the funniest part? Her son, the same boy who smashed my cake, was suddenly quiet at school because the scandal made him the center of gossip. My parents blamed me at first, calling me dramatic and heartless, until investigators found messages showing they knew about the identity theft months ago and encouraged her to just fix it later. They got warnings too. My sister lost everything: her job, her business license, her savings, her reputation. And the day she came to my apartment, crying on my doorstep, begging me to help her just this once, I looked at her the same way she looked at me the night she laughed while her son humiliated me. And I said, "Clean up your own mess." Then I closed the door. No guilt, no hesitation, no looking back. That was the day I finally walked away from the family that never treated me like one, and straight into the life I always deserved.
Have you ever faced betrayal like this from Faylee? Tell me in the comments section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories.